Okay, the new requirement is a 1965.5 Evinrude Fisherman. I acquired this off a very nice kid who was trying to find some cheap power. I gave him a 35 horsepower to test, see if he liked it. He left this here as kind of like collateral, and unfortunately he wasn't happy with the gas mileage on it and wanted to replace it. However, in getting the motor off the boat, apparently it sunk and it is toast. So he's going to pay me for the motor and let me keep this, which is very nice of him. I lost money in the deal, theoretically. However, I got a new project, and we're going to get this one running. This one runs fantastic. Pumps water good. It's in a really decent shape. Just a little corrosion here, just dirt really from my barrel. And the main problem with this one is it started rattling real bad as we're getting in the higher RPMs, and the prop is broken. So I did my little test, and it is 100% confirmed. This has rod knock. Cylinder, bottom cylinder 2 has a, I would assume the casing on the bottom of the cylinder is either gone or worn out or something. I'll show you how to test for rod knock. It's on YouTube. It's pretty easy to test for. So this one's gonna get a little block disassemble. We're gonna see if we'll get her going, because everything else works great. So it's got a nice carb on it. I gotta get a new prop, and we'll probably do. I don't know if we'll do the seals. We'll see how the oil looks, and we'll definitely change the water impeller. Even though it does pump nice, we'll take a look at it. So 5.5 Evinrude, 1960, 5.5 Fisherman. With a rod knock issue, we will disassemble and get going. Okay, in disconnecting the power head, I took a couple things off. The main fuel line from the input. I did this one off. We took off the throttle linkage, just pop that off there. The 2 screws here, so that this is free. And then the undercarriage bolts. There's one here, there's one here, 1, 2. Focus that up, 1, 2. There's one here, there's one here, and there's 2 up in here. 1. They're all 3/8. 1, 1. And I think I got most of them where this thing should be ready to pop off. I might just have to take a rubber mallet to it. It's already shaking. It's already shaking loose. We're gonna get this power. Okay, so I did the bolts. See if we can. I missed a bolt. All right, so this should lift it up. Hooked on the wires, and voila. Power head's off. Looks pretty clean underneath, actually. Some fuel getting out of there. That's normal. So, rod knock. And these older, not the olders, the 50s up to this year, I believe. This is the nut you gotta undo to drop the lower unit, to take the lower unit apart. So it would be silly of me to leave, even though it was pumping water good, and the lower unit probably doesn't need to be looked at. It'd be really silly of me not at this point to pop the lower unit off and just change the impeller, since I don't know when the last time it was changed. We will be doing that. There's some washers and grommets in here that you should change. You know, again, now that you have it off, just to make sure you remember the order it goes in. This is a gasket piece. It's rubber. The thrust washer you can save. The thrust washer. This is that carbon fiber thing. Sorry for the. This is a carbon fiber that a lot of people say to replace. This one looks in pretty decent shape, but they're cheap enough online. And then there's a spring. I believe there's 2 more, yeah, 2 more little thrust washers on the bottom. They come up. You pull them up now. Yeah, it's like a bottom holding washer. Bring it up now, so when you drop the lower unit, you don't lose them or whatever. So, a little brass carrier that rests on. Oh, that's right. When the lower unit come out, there's a roll pin. Rests on the roll pin, and when you drop the lower unit, you can bang the roll pin out. You'll have to remove the water pump. So that's it. So I'll have to do these two. There's probably 3/8. I'll undo the two 3/8 nuts here, put them aside, and then I'll be able to drop the lower unit. We're taking this apart so that we can get to the power head. So the main part of this project is disassembling the power head to get to the piston so that we can change the connecting rod. Before you pull the power head off, make sure you crack the nut while it's on so you can stick a block into the propeller to stop it from spinning. And then once you do so, you can either use a puller to pull it out or get the nut up this high, get a screwdriver underneath, and hammer here. Bang! Push it up on the screwdriver, this flywheel will come up. Flywheel's gotta come off. Right now, I'm just taking off the spark plugs. I undid some fuel lines. I took the fuel pump off. Eventually, I will pop the carburetor off. I will get the baffle off, this exhaust baffle here off with the carburetor. And then we will be able to start taking apart there's a couple screws here holding the block together. You'll see that. I'll get the screws out. Just for reference, you can do a lot of research online. These NGKs are really good for a lot of outboard motors, but what I find works really well, especially for the 50s and 60s Evinrudes, are the Champion J6Cs. Boom. Okay, that's what I use. I buy them in bulk, and all the motors are really blocking. There she is. I got the 88. I think I bought the NGKs for that. Works better with the heat and newer onboard electronics. Helps the motor run better. A couple screws, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 that hold it in. Exhaust vessel, very easy, comes right off. And then you're left with the carburetor, which should be 2 nuts, 1 and 2, usually 7/16. So I was able to find a connecting rod on eBay. So I have a new connecting rod, and these pistons were in fine shape. They had here's the crankshaft here. Here's the original crankshaft, and then this, you can see, is pretty scarred. Like there's the other one. This one's real smooth and glass-like. This one's grooved. So I'm assuming this crank is no good. I did find a new crank on eBay for that one. That's right here. So this crank's in good shape. I have a new connecting rod and piston. This one's just gonna get reassembled. But the 5.5, we should at least be able to get together. That's where I'm worried about this one. But I think in the older models without the roller pins underneath, I don't think it's gonna matter as much because I got a lip here. It just doesn't look like they fit right. But like I said, I got nothing to lose, so be a good experience. Quick update on the 5.5. We got the pistons in, the rings set. Thanks to Brandon's garage. I'll try to leave a link for his channel. I put the head on, and I put the crankcase back together. So the 5.5 is looking good. I used all of his techniques from his channel, and the 5.5 is back together. The next step will be to I'm waiting on gaskets. Once the gaskets come in, we can assemble the reed plate and the Powerhead gasket. So we're starting to reassemble the 5.5 back together. Just waiting on a couple of gaskets still for the block. Powerhead gasket I have, but let me put this together now instead of working on it while it's in the housing. So the lower unit was put together. We slid it up. You have to do, on these motors, you have to do the lower unit first. You can't put the Powerhead on and then the lower unit. The assembly for the drive shaft goes, the roll pin goes through the top. Roll pin goes through the top here. Then you have a brass cup fitting. That goes first, then the spring. Then the spring, then there's that black carbon fiber thing. There's an O-ring that fits on the top of that. That is the spring carrier. And then on top of the spring and the O-ring goes this metal brace or thrust washer. On top of that is the new gasket, which is in the mail. So that's the setup as it goes. Once the washer goes there, we'll put the Powerhead on. I cleaned all this up. We'll put the Powerhead gasket on. We'll put some the gas concealing compound on that. We'll throw the Powerhead on, and then we will work on putting the carburetor back and all the upper stuff. We'll check compression. We'll see if the rings are holding, and we'll rotate it, get some oil in there, and see if we can fire this thing up on the 5.5. Also, the shifter, 2 nuts and a washer. 2 of those 3/8 nuts and the washer. There's the 3/8 nut there, and I think there's like one of those starred O-rings. Okay, and the shifter's just 3/8 nut, star washer, 3/8 nut. And make sure your lower unit is up and attached, otherwise you won't get the proper shift location. But you tighten them all down. Top one's just a lock one. The bottom one's just holds the shift rod to the bracket. And then you can shift through the gears. Just test it, neutral, reverse. I've already tested it. I've spun it. Spins in reverse. Put it forward. It'll spin forward. And then put it in reverse and it'll spin in reverse. Sometimes it's hard to move. That means you just gotta move the prop a little bit. Back neutral. Spin it. And it goes right down. You'll see it spin clockwise. Nope, that's counterclockwise. There you go. And that's it. Don't force it. It's not going. Shift it to neutral, turn the prop a couple times. See, now so I won't go into forward. If I spin the prop, still won't go. Spin the prop one more time, just try to get it bam, forward. Yeah, so that's all. Waiting for the Powerhead.